Hi everyone. You may recall from my last video, for the next few weeks until my contract runs out in March, I'm going to be doing some 30-minute live, at least for you, if you're watching this. You're not going to be watching it live. Okay, so recorded broadcasts. I do a radio show called Journey to Health and Learning. And it is a radio show that is being paid for by a wonderful group, and it is on a radio station out of Tampa, and it's been on every Saturday morning for a while, and it's going to continue through the middle of March. And these kind folks are actually paying money for me to espouse my weekly knowledge. So I just wanted to give you that intro. It's going to be on 96.3 FM in Sun City Center, but it actually reaches into the Tampa area. So pretty cool. The radio show is called Journey to Health and Learning. So if you're riding along in your car and this sounds familiar, you're really not losing it, and you are having deja vu all over again. So what I'm going to record for them a couple days in advance is what you're about to hear now. So I do that just because I am doing so many things, and I am just trying to multitask, and all of these things, most of these things that I do are for free, so everybody's very grateful. So you'll see me every once in a while reach up and punch the button there to keep the recording going, and so that I can see it for the next 30 minutes. So here we go. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ellen Jaffe Jones, the veg coach and the broccoli rep, because who else is? You are listening to the Journey to Health and Living, which we try and bring you every week about this time, 9:30. Just some great tips on how to live your life in a healthful way. It really is about the quality of life, and not so much that we are eating this way or that, but how you feel. And if you've been listening to me for a while, and I hope you have, you will kind of get the idea that doctors don't often get a single nutrition class in medical school. In fact, I challenge you to ask any doctor you happen to see in the next number of days, weeks, years, how many nutrition classes did you get to take in medical school? And usually the answer is a big fat 0. So yes, I think when you understand that, then you understand why you have to be your own investigative reporter, like I was on television for 18 years, trying to figure out the truth about food. And my goodness, I got to interview so many cool people, registered dietitians, doctors, all kinds of folks like that. And this truth, just before anybody even wrote books on eating a plant-based diet, which does seem to be the best-kept secret in America, and before any of that was going on, it seemed like we were going in that direction. So I encourage you to do the research. Don't take my word for it, but if you are taking my word for it in this next 30 minutes, as I hope you will, because I have nothing to sell. I have nothing to push. I have no agenda other than I have seen so many people in my family get really sick or really dead, and it seems, doesn't it, that the people closest to us sometimes just don't listen. And I was the third daughter out of 3, so I often joke that my sisters, once they were told I was a boy, it kind of went downhill from there. And they are 9 and 11 years older than me, and one of the reasons I do what I do is because my mom, aunt, and both of my sisters had breast cancer. I am the only adult female in my immediate family without. Did I get all the good genes? Maybe, but maybe not. There is quite a bit of research to suggest that all genes take a trigger, and I really do believe that. We can even alter our genes in just a generation's time. We now know this from research, and we certainly know it from just watching what happens with dogs and how they are sometimes, unfortunately, genetically bred a certain way to enhance the traits of whatever are the characteristics of their existing species. And that's a whole nother 30 minutes. We could talk about that, but mainly I want to talk for our purposes just about how great it feels to eat a plant-based diet. So what does that mean? Beans, grains, greens, fruits, anything that Mother Nature just sort of put out there for us to eat in a very humane and passionate way. I am a certified personal trainer. I'm a certified running coach. The certified personal training thing is through the Aerobics and Fitness Association of America, one of the main certifying bodies that if you work out at a health club and you have a certified personal trainer, generally speaking, they will be certified through one of 3 or 4 major organizations like that out there. And then I'm also a certified running coach through the Roadrunners Club of America, and I have been a volunteer assistant coach at Manatee High School down here in Manatee County where I live, and love to run on the beach. And I have placed in my age group as of last weekend for the 81st time since 2006, just on plants. Yeah, sometimes I go to get my blood work done with the local doctors, and they call me back with the results, and they say, yeah, remind me again, what are you on? Lipitor, right? And I go, no, I am on plants. So there you have it. It's really the best kept secret in America. I'm also 7th in the U.S. in the 1,500 meters, and I apologize if you have listened to this show and have heard me say it before, but if you're listening for the first time, which I suspect some of you may be too, I think it's important to hear this stuff, because you don't hear it in the mainstream media. I have tried. I've gotten some media coverage. You would think with my 18 years as being a TV investigative reporter in St. Louis and Miami, I would know something about how to get some media coverage. You know, I fairly recently just did, I was really honored to be one of the featured speakers at the Miami Book Fair, and that is advertised as the largest book fair of its kind in North America, which is really cool. About 250,000 people strolling through there during their multi-day event. So I have been honored the past 2 years before this year to have been asked by my publisher to be their only author at their own table there. But this year, the fair itself, and they have a board, and they had to vote. And I think because I was a former TV investigative reporter in Miami, I still had some name recognition. So they invited me there to be not only a speaker, but to be, I was one of only 12 chefs who was also an author and was invited to do a cooking demonstration at the Miami Culinary Institute, which was way cool. Such a state-of-the-art place. I would, work there in a heartbeat if it weren't 4 hours away. But, that kind of thing, I love sharing how you can eat healthfully and that it just doesn't take a whole lot of time or money to do this. And I enjoy speaking around the country as I do at the largest Veg Fest. And I just got invited to the Tallahassee Veg Fest, which is having its very first Veg Fest ever. And, that kind of stuff. It's, I've done Tampa and Orlando, and if you have an opportunity to go to either one of those are certainly close by and local. You should definitely do that. Somebody was asking, I did as an author, you do all these kinds of wild and crazy things. Now, I did a Twitter chat this week with a group called Vegan Food Duo, and people were asking me for all these money-saving tips because I am the author of Eat Vegan on $4 a Day, as well as Kitchen Divided, Vegan Dishes for Semi-Vegan Households, and then my third child is Paleo Vegan Primal, Plant-Based Primal Recipes. So they were asking me on this Twitter chat, it's like, when do you get too old to do Twitter chats? I don't know. But they were asking me, like, what are some of my favorite money-saving tips? And this whole idea that you can have all the wealth in the world, but if you don't have your health, you can't enjoy wealth. And that is so important to understand that, one of the misconceptions I get out there is that I'm this cult member. I mean, that came out in a free cooking class I did this week out of my house, which I do, just so people, I've gotten a local place to donate the food, Fresh Market, actually, and they have all this great fresh food. They don't have an advertising budget per se, so they depend on people like me to get the word out there and do these classes. So I don't charge, and I just want people to taste this incredible food because people think that vegan food is dull or limiting or strict. Oh my goodness, strict. Don't get me started. So, there's just so many great ways that we can get this message out there. And of course, if you can save some animals in the meantime, all the better. Now, some of you may know, if you follow me, if you're one of the almost 37,000 people who follow me on Facebook, you know that I was chosen last year, 2014, as Peta's Sexiest Vegan over 50. And I'm well over 50. But the reason I did that is because organizations like PETA, I mean, they have done a great job of getting their name out there, but they do not have anywhere near the funding or money that the meat and dairy industry has. And when you understand that there's no money in broccoli, there's not a corporation that makes it, there is no broccoli association, no broccoli lobby, then you understand why you have to be your own investigative reporter like I was to figure out the truth about food. So all of these dots are so connected, and I don't view the way I eat as being strict. No, I view it as a lot of fun, and it saves all these animals from pain. I mean, that's really the big thing. And I think the reason there's so many kids who eat vegan or vegetarian, but especially vegan, is because all these videos are out there now showing how animals are treated horrifically, especially in factory farms, and it just doesn't take a PhD to figure out the truth about food and to see really what it comes down to is, would you ask anyone to do to another living being what you yourself are not prepared to do? And that is the bottom line to understanding why many of us are vegan. And, the other part of it is, I think some of us, like me, have had to live up close and personal, not only in my family of origin, but my husband, God love him. We were both TV investigative reporters in Miami, and he is significantly older than me. He just turned 80. He's 18 years older, in case you were wondering. And he had a heart attack on Halloween, and he had to spend a month in the hospital. And it's like, oh gosh, is my voice not loud enough? Did the world not hear this message that you can avoid heart disease, you can avoid cancer? You really can. So many of these diseases are very preventable. This is not hocus pocus. This is just eating truly like our ancestors did. And speaking of which, some of you have probably heard me talk about the cover story of National Geographic in September. Yeah, it was called The Real Paleo Diet. Yeah, and I put all these sticky notes in the magazine about all the different quotes that pretty much could have came right out of my book, Paleo Vegan. And again, National Geographic didn't exactly plagiarize or quote directly or even mention me by name, but all the points they made, all those sticky notes, about a dozen or more of them, could have come right out of the book, saying that, this myth that a wild boar was running through our backyard 3 times a day and we were able to catch it with a little teeny tiny arrowhead. It just wasn't happening 3 times a day, just not possible. Even if that animal was available for us to find, could we eat it without getting sick and dying? Those were all variables that determined whether or not our species survived. So, as National Geographic said, if man the hunter wasn't doing the trick, how were people eating? Well, what a surprise, all left to woman the forager, as she was staying home while her elusive honey was going out for a couple weeks, maybe trying to find an animal, maybe being successful at finding the animal, and maybe possibly catching it. She and the kids were back home foraging for berries, nuts, and other plants that they could eat in their immediate surroundings. So, my book, Paleo Vegan, was really the first one that put a vegan spin on the paleo diet, or as I like to say, reclaiming and redefining it for vegans. I did a webinar recently, and the title was Paleo Vegan, and my goodness, there were vegans who banned me from their Facebook pages, and we're not just talking like individual people, but from groups that had the word vegan in the title, because they said, how dare you combine the word paleo, which is so meat focused, and vegan, to which I say, hey, whatever gave the right to the meat eaters to define this phrase? It's time that vegans redefine and reclaim the word paleo, because The Paleolithic period was between 1 million and 2 million years ago, up until maybe 10,000 years ago, the beginning of agriculture. And the folks who were writing these meat-based paleo books were talking about how, oh, agriculture was our demise. Our genes can't adapt in 10,000 years. Well, they can adapt in a generation. They can mutate quite fine, thank you very much. So if your gut can handle eating brown rice and wheat, even if Monsanto has put their famous genetic alteration on it, creating GMOs, you know, if you can handle it, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And there are some pieces of research I've seen out there that suggest that genetic alteration, GMOs, may be causing cancer in rats, but you know, the jury is still out on that. There hasn't been enough research done to prove it how it affects humans. Now, listen, I was a TV investigative reporter in St. Louis, home of that wonderful corporation, Monsanto. So, and I sat next to a woman named Jane Acree, who, if you Google her name or Google the movie The Corporation, she is the star of that movie. She moved on from St. Louis because none of us in St. Louis as reporters could touch doing stories on Monsanto. So she and her husband moved to Tampa, and they tried to do a story on Monsanto in Tampa, and Monsanto sued them, and the TV station fired them, and the movie The Corporation is all about that. So I, again, don't take my word for it. Do the Googling, do the research, and you can find all this out there. And so I would be the first to say, yeah, if you can avoid GMO foods, absolutely. If you can get your state to encourage GMO labeling, that would be a wonderful thing, although California tried to do it, and Monsanto rushed in there with a lot of money, and so they weren't able to do that. So we have all these kind of sidebar issues, and definitely they are valid and important, but equally important is what we are doing or not doing for animals and what we are doing for this planet. And I am hoping that as we go forward, there will be politicians who really understand and get this and can try and not be in the pocket of big money and corporations. And, you know, we're seeing this disturbing trend of ag-gag laws that are getting passed where it becomes illegal for somebody to go in undercover and take pictures and videos of how animals are being treated because, oh my goodness, if everybody saw what was happening at some of these farms, nobody would be eating meat and or dairy 3 times a day. Maybe not at all. So, you know, there's a lot to be lost in this whole battle between the different industries, and again, there's no broccoli industry, and as a TV investigative reporter, I've been trained to follow the money, and there just ain't a whole lot in the broccoli lobby. So, and you know, sometimes when you see some of these courageous politicians who do get elected, like Dennis Kucinich, he was vegan, he got defeated, and it's just so sad, really, because who else is going to be acting in the best interests of the voiceless? And that's one of the things that I said in my Peta application for being, when I entered the Sexiest Vegan Over 50 contest, I said, you know, I just want to be, as so many of us do, the voice for the voiceless, because animals don't have a voice. And some of the videos and the pictures out there of mother pigs being separated from their babies, and you can hear this in cows too, same thing, that, you know, this wailing that we as human mammals think that somehow we're the only ones who can feel this. Oh, and this is so cool. So cool. I just found out that my daughter, who is, she's in her last semester at the University of Southern California, and before you think I make a lot of money, no, I haven't paid a penny for her education, but that is another story we won't talk about here. But I just felt kind of a need to say that because people think that is an expensive school, which it is, but that's just a whole other story. Anyway, she is taking a class in animal psychology. How cool is that? So I wish that those kinds of classes existed when I was a little youngster, because I think maybe if I didn't go a different direction, I mean, I enjoyed my years in television, but I think it just would have given me a new perspective on animal issues and maybe getting to the vegan table a little bit sooner than I have. And I'm hoping she will share with me what she's learning, because we are learning that animals have feelings and a nervous system that is more similar to ours than not. And you know, this whole argument that oh well, plants feel pain. If I see that one more time, my thick head of vegan hair will definitely explode. So you know, it's encouraging to see these kinds of classes now at mainstream universities. And this was, she majored in communications, imagine that, and then psychology was really a minor for her. So just that this would even be on the radar of a traditional mainstream kind of school is pretty exciting. So there are certainly studies that show that those who abuse animals go on to abuse humans, and I really believe that if we could just get more people, if they don't go vegan or vegetarian, at least to have a meatless Monday or a time out a few times a week, or even now there's a big movement called, I think it's called Veganary, like it's Vegan January. So try the month of January for your New Year's resolution, vegan, and see what that's like. You can always go back to your old way of eating, but some people really get onto this diet and feel so much better. You know, I've done all this running. In addition to the sprint work that I've done, I have run in 2 marathons and about a half dozen half marathons. I actually placed in one of those, which I'm told is really rare for somebody with my sprint times, which are only a few seconds slower than NCAA college girls. I know, because my daughter was on the track team her freshman year at USC and then discovered boys and is not doing that anymore. So I was able to look at the media guide to see how fast she and some of her running colleagues were, and it's pretty interesting that I can do all this and not be that much slower than these college girls. And I found that too when I coached high school cross country, that my times were a lot faster than most of the girls. And you know, we really need to make sure that our next generation is going to be at least as healthy as we are. And the statistics are that they may not live, they may be the first generation not to live as long as the one before us. So you know, I hope you, as we kind of wind down this radio show, and it has a time limit on it, I'm told, so we'll probably continue it through March, but I hope I am giving you lots of at least food for thought and things to check out. You know, certainly there's some mainstream books out there that, at least mainstream in the vegan universe, the China Study, anything written by Dr. Neil Barnard, anything written by Dr. John McDougall, anything written by Dr. Joel Furman. And you notice I'm picking doctors because there are a lot of folks out there who say they've got certifications and they've taken this and that class, but you know, for me, sticking with those doctors who have been singing from this songbook for a very long time is really important. Oh, also Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. And you have, as a former TV reporter, 2 Emmys and the National Press Club Award in my past, I do look at all this as a reporter. So you've got the doctors, the low-fat vegan doctors who say, no, you really shouldn't be eating more than, I don't know, 10, 20% of your diet fat. And then there are others who say, yeah, you know, eat nuts in their natural state and that will be fine. And, you know, not globbing them down by the bagful. And there's a reason nature put nuts in shells, so we would take the time to peel them so we wouldn't be eating them in globfuls. And, you know, just thinking, what truly did Mother Nature intend? What did our ancestors really do? Trying to ask those questions. Well, as we finish up here, I did just want to mention I will be speaking about all of this live and in person at the South Shore Library, Saturday, January 24th. And that is coming up, well, pretty soon. So I hope that you will be able to attend that. The address there is 15816 Beth Shields Way in Ruskin. But you do, here's the catch, you have to RSVP either by email, silverbackpeacegroup@gmail.com. That's silverbackpeacegroup gmail.com if you have a computer and are online. Or you can call them at 813-260-3166. Now, I know you may not have had your pen or pencil handy there, so let's do that again. 813-260-3166 if you'd like to come hear me talk at the South Shore Library from noon to 1. I'll be having the slideshow that I take all around the country to the largest Veg Fest, so you can see all the fun pictures that I use in my presentation, and the Silverback Peace Group will have some refreshments there as well, and they'll also be raffling off some of my books as well. So they've just been a wonderful group to work with. They sponsor this show as well, and I hope you'll have an opportunity to come out and do that. They also invited me to another group event that is going to be, all probably heard of this. It's a fun, I'm looking for my email. It looks like I didn't print it off, but it's going to be like a fun thing that you go to in Ruskin, and it's like 6,000 people, and I'll have more details about it. Let's see if I can actually, I have so many, I have like 12 emails open, and I'm actually going to do just a quick search. I love live almost radio. Saturday, March 21st, Sun City Center Fun Fest. Okay, say that 10 times fast. All right, so that is going to be from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Fun Fest is an event featuring over 100 exhibitors displaying their products and services, along with a wide selection of foods and top entertainers performing in 3 separate venues. They've done this for the past 15 years, so that's a cool thing. March 21st, 9 to 2 p.m. Fun Fest. And I am looking to see, we'll have some more information about where that's going to be, but I'm guessing if you live in Sun City Center, you probably know where that is or familiar with it, just because you have been probably affected by the traffic that has affected that event. I know last weekend in the island race here on Anna Maria Island, where I did a 5K and got first in my age group, just on plants, again, 81st time that I did that, and you know, it does kind of shut down traffic doing things like that, but it's the price you pay for healthy people that are going to maybe help other people who are not so healthy try to find and enjoy their health. And you know, we really encourage people to try and get out and go to some of these events so that you can taste vegan food, because some people have sort of stereotypes that it's either expensive or it's difficult to find. And one of the things about the recipes in my book, Eat Vegan on $4 a Day, is that every single recipe in there is priced out based on ingredients you can find at Walmart or any big box store. So, you know, people always go, ew, you're recommending shopping at Walmart? And I go, ew, if you're living below the poverty level of $23,000 a year, you are probably already shopping at Walmart. So I just really enjoy trying to show people how much money they can save at the grocery store, as well as by avoiding doctors and diseases. That bypass surgery and hospital stay for a month that my husband had, the 2 nurses told us that that visit, if he had to pay out of pocket, would be $1 million. $1 million for a month in a hospital. We cannot continue to sustain or support those kinds of expensive and, hear this, preventable, very preventable diseases. So I encourage you, if you want your children to be around, your grandchildren to be around in a world that is maybe less crazier than it is now, getting them or getting yourself to try and experiment with a more humane diet that doesn't require us, because we now have these videos visually in front of us of how animals are slaughtered and what they feel like when they have to go through these kinds of torturous experiences. It's worth it trying to give up meat a few times a week, at least for just starting. And if you really need inspiration, check out the movie Bag It, which talks about how fish are eating more plastic than plankton. And we are letting so much plastic get into our waters. Even here locally, I run on the beach as much as I can, and I'll just see people treating the beach like a friggin' garbage can all the time. I once came out and there must have been 1,000 plastic bottles, probably from a wedding party or something the Saturday night before. I didn't know who they thought was going to come along. The city bulldozer and just pick up all that stuff, which it does for a part of the area where I live. But yeah, we got to rethink some of this stuff and try and teach our children young, as the famous Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young song goes. All right, so that is pretty much it for this week. I thank you for listening to the Journey to Health and Living. I'm Ellen Jaffe Jones, the Veg Coach and the Broccoli Rep, because who else is? And you can find me at vegcoach.com, my blog, my newsletter. Be sure to go to vegcoach.com and sign up for my newsletter. I try and give out as many tips and ideas and an occasional recipe when I can. And if you have a question for me, I'm always open to that, and we will share questions on my blog, on the radio show here, whatever floats your boat. And I hope you have a fabulous week. Thank you to the Silverback Peace Group again for underwriting this show and for having me on here. And again, if I can help you achieve your goals, whatever they are, whether it's to help an animal, help your health, help your kids' health, I do what I can as a personal trainer to get you on that journey, because there is nothing quite like being around for the grandkids. As one of our former presidents said before he gave up his meat and dairy to avoid a third heart procedure, and results are typical. Yes, I do say that because so many people do improve their health on a vegan diet, a plant-based diet. Nothing with a mama, nothing with a face. And hope you have a great week, everybody. Gotta run.